I'm going to talk about our newest feature, the What's in Play section. So, what's the purpose of the What's in Play section? Why did we build it? One of the biggest pieces of feedback that we were getting was there's so much good information on edgeful, but how do I know what to focus on and when to focus on it? And one of the things we thought, well, why don't we just tell you when these reports are setting up? When is the gap fill setting up? When is there a gap up or down? How often does price break out of the initial balance high and low? Why don't we just tell you that using live data? And that's exactly what we're doing with the What's in Play section. So right now we're still in beta just because we have 4 reports that we started with. The gap fill report, the opening range, the initial balance, and the ADR, average daily range. The reason that we started with these 4 is because we started with a very simple layout, and we want our users to tell us what they want us to add. So, do you want a price chart? Do you want alerts? Do you want to see the last 5 gaps up and down? What happened? That's why we're still in the beta, but we want to hear what other reports do you want us to add. So, for example, we've gotten some requests for the ICT Midnight Open. Let's add that in there. Another one that was requested was the outside days, to get that added in there. And I'll just go over the gap fill right now, and what it does is it will tell you, so right now I'm looking at ES. I can see that there's a gap down here on the top left. I can see the current price. I can see my target, which is the gap fill target. That's just the previous session's closing price. I can see the size of the gap in points, and I can see how far away price is right now from that gap. So how much opportunity is there on this gap fill trade? So if that distance to the target is $10 or 10 points, you know that if you were to enter right now, that is the amount of meat that there is on the bone. Then something that's really important is the gap status. Is it filled or not filled? Is it in play or not in play anymore? So when you see that the gap is not filled, that means that it's in play right now. This is something you can focus on because the gap hasn't filled, obviously. And then it also tells you your bias. So your bias on the day will tell you, do you want to have a long bias or a short bias? Now, specific to the gap fill report, if price opens below the gap, that gap, the previous session's close, you want to have a long bias targeting that area, that previous session's close. If we open above, you want to be bearish targeting that previous session's close. So that's the main header of what we have on the What's in Play section. Then we have the streaks. So you can see when there's a gap down, it will show you the last 5 gaps down. And you actually read this in the same way as you'd read a price chart. So left is the oldest, to the right is the newest. So you can see in the last 5 gaps down, 4 of them have filled on ES specifically. Then to the right, you can see that we have the stats. Those are the regular stats. Another request that we've gotten from our users is, can you include the by size and by weekday versions of the stats, which is another thing that's coming. And as you go down, you'll see the other reports and how you can use them. So for example, the opening range, it will tell you where your levels are, where are your opening range high and low. And one thing that we are going to add is whether the high or the low has been broken yet or the double break. So if you know that there is a very high probability for price to break out of both sides of the opening range, and you can see that one of the sides has broken, then you want to target that opposite side. So that's one of the ways that you can use the opening range. There's obviously a million ways to use it, but that's one of the most famous ways. Then the initial balance. This one, it takes the first hour of the market open to actually form. So it is a little bit more delayed in terms of you'd have to wait that first hour. But the initial balance will tell you where your levels are and what the probabilities of price breaking out of either side is. Now, what's important is that what we have this initial balance, the version that we have is the by rejection version, which is a sub-report of the initial balance report. And it checks, based on which side of the initial balance forms first, what is the likelihood of price breaking out of a certain direction of that initial balance. So for example, if the high forms first and then price comes down to the low and then the low forms first, maybe, depending on what stock or what instrument you're looking at, it is more likely that the low is going to break. So what this shows you is which side of the initial balance formed first. And that's really important to know because it gives you a very strong direction to target. And then finally, the ADR. This is the last one that we have in here right now. And it will show you today's ADR, the average daily range, and it will show you the percent of how much price has moved relative to that ADR. So let's say the ADR is $10 and price has moved $8. It's moved 80% of ADR, but it will also tell you the potential bullish and bearish moves to set your profit targets in the most profitable areas. So if you don't want to expect price to exceed that daily ADR of $10, it would say hypothetically, let's say price just went straight up. So it went up and now it's at $8. You'd know that your bullish potential target is only $2 more. And it will tell you that. So it will tell you where to set your profit targets relative to that daily ADR. So for now, that's it. We're going to be adding 2 more reports very soon. One of them is going to be that ICT open. The other one's going to be that outside days. But if you want us to add certain things, I want alerts, I want a price chart, I want whatever else, anything you can think of, let us know, because we are only going to add in stuff that our users ask for. All of our tools are built on our user feedback, so make sure to let us know on if you want to let us know on Twitter or on X. Our handle is @edgeful, and you can just tweet at us and we will make sure to answer you there. So thank you for watching. If this video is helpful, like, comment, subscribe. Thank you.